Good morning, class 10 students. Today I am continuing current electricity part 3. So let's start. Now today first I am starting with direction of electric current. The direction of an electric current is by convention the direction in which a positive charge would move. Thus the current in the external circuit is directed away from the positive terminal and toward the negative terminal of the battery. Electrons would actually move through the wires in the opposite direction. See the diagram, you will understand. Flow of electrons in this way and flow of conventional or convectional current rather in another way, just opposite way. So the direction of electric current is taken by convention as the direction of the flow of positive charges through any cross section of a conductor. But in a conductor connected to a source of electricity like cell, the electric current is due to the flow of negatively charged electrons in the conductor. So what is electric current? Electric current is the amount of charge flowing through any cross section of a conductor in unit time. If Q amount of charge flows through a cross section of a conductor in time t, then the electric current I is equal to Q by T. SI unit of electric current is ampere. So the mathematical expression of electric current is measured by the number of electrons flowing past a particular point in a conductor or a circuit per unit time. That is I is equal to Q by T, where Q is the charge of electrons flowing through the conductor, T is the time of flow in seconds, and I is electric current. So electric current is a scalar quantity. So electric current through a conductor is 1 ampere if 1 coulomb of charge flows through any cross section of the conductor in 1 second. Now conductor and insulator. You know this. Already you have read this in class 8. In a conductor, electric current can flow freely. In an insulator, it cannot. Metals such as copper typify conductors, while most non-metallic solids are said to be good insulators, having extremely high resistance to the flow of charge through them. Most atoms hold on to their electrons tightly and are insulators. So examples of conductors include metals, aqueous solutions of salts, that is ionic compounds dissolved in water, graphite, and the human body. Examples of insulators include plastics, styrofoam, paper, rubber, glass, and dry air. So now the question is air a conductor or insulator? Air, like in the atmosphere, is actually an excellent electrical insulator. This means that electrically can be sent through a conductor and it won't jump through the air. Now see the diagram. Conductors and insulators examples are there. So any material that let electric current flow through it, that are conductors. Any material that doesn't let electric current flow through it, that are insulators. So conductors, these materials holds loosely onto its electrons, so they flow through it. This is the reason actually why they are called conductor. And in case of insulator, this material holds onto its electrons very tightly. This is the reason why they are called insulators. Now, insulators are used to protect us from the electric shocks. We wear rubber shoes and gloves while working with electric circuits and equipments. For the same purpose, handles of screwdrivers are made of wood or plastics. Household electric wires are covered with rubber or plastic claddings. Now, the conductors are divided into basically two parts also. These are superconductor and semiconductor. So what is superconductor? A superconductor is an element or metallic alloy which, when cooled below a certain threshold temperature, that means a particular temperature, the material dramatically loses all electrical resistance. So superconductors are materials that offer low resistance to electrical current. Prominent examples of superconductors include aluminium, niobium, magnesium, diboride, cuprates such as you can say that therium, barium, copper oxide, and iron pnictides. Rather, you can say, I think so, mercury is a very good superconductor. So it is observed experimentally that resistance of some substance like lead, tin, etc. decreases very much on decreasing the temperature and becomes almost zero, near absolute zero temperature. The substances in this condition are called superconductors. Once a current is passed through a superconductor, the current persists for very long time without applying any voltage across it. This is the advantage of superconductor. Thus, the resistance of a superconductor is almost zero, or its conductance is infinite. So, some of the example of superconductors: mercury below 4.2 Kelvin, here K for Kelvin. Lead below 7.2 Kelvin, so temperature they are mentioning. Niobium below 9.2 Kelvin, etc. Only difficulty for using superconductor is to attain such a low temperature. Researchers are in progress for discovering some superconductors which can work at comparatively higher temperature. Semiconductor definition. These are materials which have a conductivity between conductors and non-conductors or insulators. Semiconductors can be pure elements such as silicon or germanium, or compounds such as gallium arsenide or cadmium selenide. So use of the semiconductors are employed in the manufacture of various kinds of electronic devices, including diodes, transistors, and integrated circuits. Transistor mean radios. Such devices have found wide application because of their compactness, power efficiency, and low cost. See the diagram. Resistor, diode, capacitors diagrams has been given. These are the examples of semiconductor. Now the graphical representation of resistivity and temperature. See, three graphs has been given. So the resistivity of conductors such as metals increases with the increase in their temperature, while for semiconductors it decreases with the increase of temperature. For say superconductors, rho decreases. Rho means resistivity decreases and becomes almost zero, near absolute zero temperature. So the general rule is resistivity increases with increasing temperature in conductors and decreases with increasing temperature in insulators. As temperature rises, the number of phonons increases, and with it, the likelihood that the electrons and phonons will collide. Thus, when temperature goes up, resistance goes up. See the first diagram, it is going up. See the semiconductor diagram, it is going down. With the rise in temperature, number density of electrons and holes increases where R remains constant, so rho decreases. And see the third diagram. This is the diagram of superconductors, where it is going below the level of temperature, that is absolute zero temperature. Now series and parallel combination. There are two types of circuits, series and parallel. In series connection, the current flows only through one path will be the same when passing through each resistor. In parallel connection, the voltage remains the same across each resistors in the circuit, and the current is divided among each branches. See the first diagram. Series combination is there. It is connected like this, R1, R2, R3 like this. In parallel combination, see, it is also connected but in a different way. This is also R1, R2, R3. And in the third diagram, series and parallel, both the combinations are there. See, hope so you will understand. R2 and R3 are the parallel combination. But with R1, this R2, R3, the equivalent resistance of R2, R3 will be the series combination. Now, formulae and differences between parallel and series combination. In case of parallel combination, the voltage drop is the same across each parallel branch. The sum of the current in each individual branch is equal to the current outside the branches. The equivalent or overall resistance of the collection of resistors is given by the equation 1 by R is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Here, instead of R, I have taken Req, that is equivalent as Req, that means equivalent resistance. So combination of these resistors in series, that means in series combination, the potential difference across R3 is equal to V3 is equal to I into R3. Thus, in case of series connection, the equivalent resistance, that means R is equal to V into I, that is R1 plus R2 plus R3. For in number of resistors connected in series, the equivalent resistance R is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 like this till Rn, where n is equal to an unknown number. Now the difference between series and parallel circuits. The major difference is that the series circuits have the same amount of current flow through all the components placed in it. On the other hand, in parallel circuits, the components are placed in parallel with each other. This circuit splits the current flow. Now see the diagram. In case of series and parallel combination, always remain same in series, current, that is I. In series combination, it will always remain same. But in case of parallel combination, it will be divided, that is I1, I2, I3, like this. Voltage will be same in parallel combination, that means VA minus VB always. But in case of series combination, it will be divided. That means for R1, it will be V2 minus V1. For R2, it will be V3 minus V2, like this, and so on. And the last point, formulae given, and the first point, diagrams given. Now, derivation of both the formulae. In series combination, resistors are connected end to end and current has a single path through the circuit, but the potential difference varies across each resistor. Thus, we can write as V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 according to Ohm's law. V is equal to I into R. So, V1 is equal to I into R1. V2 is equal to I into R2. V3 is equal to I into R3. So, V is equal to I R1 plus I R2 plus I R3, putting the value of V1, V2 and V3. Therefore, if I will take I common, V is equal to I into R1 plus R2 plus R3, or V is equal to I into R, E, that means equivalent R. All the individual resistances become equal to the equivalent resistance, or equivalent resistance R is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 till Rn, where n is unknown number. In parallel combination, each resistance, one is connected to the positive terminal, while the other end is connected to a negative terminal. The potential difference across each resistance is the same and the current passing through them is different. Here V is equal to V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3 like this. Or rather you can say V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 like this also you can say. So I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. Here why I have said V is equal to V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V3 because V will be same. So current through each resistor will be I1 is equal to V into R1, I2 is equal to V into R2, I3 is equal to V into R3. Therefore, if I take common, V. So I is equal to V into 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. In case of equivalent resistance, I is equal to V by RE. That means equivalent resistance. So V by equivalent resistance is equal to V into 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. So the equivalent resistance is the sum of all resistances. So 1 by R is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Thank you, students. Hope so you have understood till this. For any doubts or queries, please email me at shudeshna1.sma@outlook.com. And one more thing I want to say, if you have any type of query or maybe you are not understanding the proof, so please email me and say your doubts so that I can send you in a video form.